Welcome to the Violin Class podcast, which is a podcast for the non-professional violinist. I will be sharing advice for learning the instrument as an adult, the music and history of the violin, and give you some insight on what it's like to be a working professional violinist. My name is Julia, and I'm a violinist and violin teacher who specializes in working with adults learning the instrument. I'll be sharing some practical tips that I hope will be useful for you, whether you're just curious about taking up the instrument for the first time, or you've been studying for years and just want to expand your knowledge. I'll also be discussing topics related to the classical violin world, such as the repertoire, some behind-the-scenes glimpses into the professional world, and basically anything violin related that I want to talk about. Just to know that this will be mainly classical focused as I'm classically trained, but I will also try to talk about other genres and styles of playing because that's something that interests me as well. This podcast is not meant to teach you violin, and it will not in any way replace studying with a private teacher, but it's rather intended to supplement what you will be learning. As a teacher, I find that there's just so many playing-related things to go over in our classes that I never quite have enough time to talk about all the extras that I want to discuss. And so all of these episodes are written with my own students in mind, and I aim to share all of the background information that I think would help anyone learning the instrument. Growing up, I always heard that violin was something that you could only learn if, like me, you started when you were very young. When I started teaching, I was working with young children following the traditional Suzuki method of violin pedagogy, which, if you're not familiar with, is a teaching method designed to begin at 3 to 5 years old. At the school I was teaching at the time, I encountered my very first adult beginner student, and I must confess that I assumed from what I had heard that it would be too late for her to ever get any sort of level on the violin. I quickly saw how wrong I was in that assumption, and that adult student quickly surpassed all the kids, and every week surprised me with her progress, her dedication, and the interest for the art form. I enjoyed working with her so much that I now actually almost exclusively teach adults, and it's something that I really love to do. I just want to mention that everything I talk about in this podcast is my opinion and opinion only. I'm just one person. I'm sure many other violinists could disagree with some of the things I say. There's not just one way to do things, and so everything I mention is from my own experience and research. Lastly, if you want to write into the show, or if you're interested in taking violin lessons with me, you can write to me at violinclasspod@gmail.com. You can also find me, Julia, on Instagram at Julia Reddy Music. That's Julia Reddy Music as well. That's it. Thank you for listening, and let's get on with the show.